Hey, what is up, guys? So, welcome back to the fourth video of the mini series. So, yeah, in the last class, we built a pyramid, so which was totally dynamic. We had user give the input, and then depending on that input, we had the number of rows of our pyramid. So, in this case, we're gonna do the same, but this time the pyramid would be in the opposite direction. So this time we will just reverse the structure. So yeah, this is the structure that we will build in this video. So yeah, let's get started. So yeah, so in this structure, first we need to see that each subsequent row has a space, so this space which gradually increases, so the number of spaces in each subsequent row get increased by one. Okay, and then the number of stars, unlike the previous one which increased in each row, in this row it's going to decrease every time it moves to the new row. So yeah, that basically is what this structure is. So yeah, for this we would need three loops just like the previous one which would be responsible as usual for the number of rows, then there would be one which would be responsible for the stars, and then there's going to be the third loop which would be responsible for printing the number of spaces. So let's get started. So first we're going to get the user input and store it in this user input variable, and then we're going to run our big loop saying for I in range and user input times. Okay, once we have this done, now let's first see what we need. First we need to print the number of spaces, because first the spaces are printed and only then the stars get printed. But in the first row you can clearly see that we have no spaces. Okay, so still we need to get the spaces first, because what's gonna happen eventually, the first time the space loop runs, it's gonna have the value of 0. So the iterator of that loop which would be printing the space would have first as its value as 0. So that would basically mean that it would print 0 space. And then subsequently what's going to happen, the number of spaces would gradually increase as the loop goes on running. So let's get started. So this is the first loop, and then we're going to want to write the loop that's going to print the space. So for j in range, and then we we want to run it I number of times. So basically depending on I, it's going to print the number of spaces. So in first time this loop runs, it's going to run 0 times, because I as an iterator for the big loop would have 0 as its first value. So once that's done, now let's write the print statement saying print, and then we want to print the space, and then we want to concate if any multiple spaces occur, which would eventually occur in the second, third, and fourth, and so on rows. So we sure want to concate them. So once these get concated, now we want to write another loop which would be responsible for printing the number of stars. Okay, so as for stars, you can see this is a 5-row pyramid, reverse pyramid. So the first row has 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So it has 9 stars. The second has 7, and then the third has 5, and so on. So we're gonna want to write an equation, a math equation, that would every time give us the required number of stars. So what we can write is that since it is a 5-row star, or whatever row it could be, so if let's say it is a two row 2-row pyramid, so this second row has 3. So basically if we say 2 times user input, which in this case would be 2, that is 4, and then minus 1 would give us 3. So if we write the equation as 2 times user input minus 1, so which would eventually give us the required number of stars. So let's say the user says 6 row pyramid, so it would have 2 times 6, which is 12. 12 minus 1, which would be 11. Okay, now let's print the number of stars, and then we're gonna want to concate them, saying and then this. Okay, once those are concated, we do want to reduce the range of this loop, because we do not want it to run every time with 2 times user input minus 1. We basically want the number of stars to gradually decrease. So what we can do for that, let's reduce the value of user input, saying user input equals user input minus 1. So basically what's going to happen, if it's 5 star, if it's 5 row pyramid, first row would be 9 stars, then the second one would be, which is 4, so 2 times 4 minus 1, which is 7, so this is going to be 7, and then 5 3 2 1. So that's basically it. So after it's done iterating, we basically want each row to be printed on each separate lines. So for that, just like usual, we write print, and then we just write the quotes. Now let's run and see. Let's say 6 and print. There we have it. Let's run it once again, and let's give something a bit big. 56. All right, so that's basically what the pyramid would look if we had 56 rows. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it for this video. If you guys had any doubt regarding the explanation, you can rewatch the video, and if you guys haven't watched my previous videos, things might be a little bit difficult, so I recommend that you watch my previous tutorials to get things pretty much clear. And yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe if you haven't, and like if you like the video. So yeah, meet you guys next time.